No fucking way. Bros, I don't feel so good. Benz bros, I don't feel so good. No! Why does this keep happening? Why does this keep happening? No! 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 No, this is not happening right now. Fuck! Are you kidding me? Is this some sort of sick, twisted joke? Just to fuck with me? For the past 45 minutes, we've been reading about Soros. The Soros machine controls prosecutors. They're giving them top-down orders on who to prosecute and who not to prosecute, and what to say in press releases, and what laws to enforce, and what to post on social media. Because the whole thing is run by this Soros group, Soros-funded group called FJP. You scroll down to page 8, and this is not even mentioned by Daily Wire in the big write-up on this report. Actually, FJP is a fiscally sponsored project of the Tide Center, which means they get their 501c3 status through the Tide Center. And they were also given funds by Open Society. And then you go to the Tide Center, and Tide Center is funded by Usaid. I'm sorry. Kill the music. I'm sorry. These are Usaid prosecutors. And you guys know, because you've seen 2 or 3 dozen streams by now, if you've been subbed for a while, about Usaid and its role as a CIA conduit, as a pass-through for CIA, as the constant companion of the CIA. Go back and watch our 6-hour series called 10 Times Usaid Was Busted as a CIA Cutout, and you'll see all the receipts in there. These are CIA prosecutors. That's what you're living under. Oh, that is too funny. That's too funny. Usaid prosecutors. Make it trend. All right. FJP, which again, we need to recontextualize as being the aggregate sum of Usaid, Bill Gates, the Ford Foundation, the Kellogg Foundation, and George Soros. But already, you guys see what I'm saying? If you just read the Daily Wire article, you would have thought it was 100% funded by George Soros, 100% controlled by George Soros. It's this one, pinky in the brain, one madman's monomaniacal quest to control the world, and they're all doing what he says. When it's a coalition of oligarchs in tandem with the Central Intelligence Agency via USAID. So already we need to think of FJP as being like USAID plus their group of outside oligarch donors and drafters. USAID has $50 billion a year to play with. $50 billion a year. George Soros has $25 billion total versus $50 billion a year. George Soros is what, 90 years old? Something like that? 10 years of USAID funding is $500 billion, half a trillion. FJP gives some of Soros's most valuable prosecutors prominent leadership positions. Okay, but are you going to say anything more about FJP? I want to know FJP's relationship with Soros. Because when I go to FJP, what I see is Soros is one of 5 different foundations who fund the Tide Center. The Tide Center is who gives FJP its 501c3 status. I see 5 major oligarch donors plus USAID. All they say is FJP was given additional funds. That's it? Additional funds? How much funds? This is crazy. I almost don't want to read anymore unless they tell me this quickly. I'm sorry, guys, because you will have a totally inverted causal relationship of the world if you don't build your Jenga tower properly. What the fuck is this? Given additional funds. Or put a gun in my mouth and abort me from planet Earth if I publish a comprehensive 33-page report like this, and the crux linchpin of the entire thing, which is FJP equals Soros. So everything FJP does means it is done by Soros and only Soros. And they are one and the same. Exactly. Nobody else is responsible. Nobody else is exerting more influence than Soros is. They're a total cutout of George Soros. And my only evidence for this is they were actually sponsored by a different group. They're not a fiscally sponsored project of the Open Society Foundation. They're a fiscally sponsored group of an organization that has 5 major oligarch foundation funds. Soros is only one of them. Oh yeah, and a major source of their funding is also Usaid. And the only connective point is that, in addition, FJP was given funds by the Open Society Foundation. How much did they give them? Why is there no fucking hyperlink? Do you understand what I'm saying? If the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation gave more money than the Open Society Foundation, then this report should be called Gates Prosecutors. If Usaid gave more money than Soros, then this whole report should be called Usaid Prosecutors. Why would you, if you're building your entire case on saying the prosecutors are controlled by FJP and FJP equals Soros, and then buried on page 8, we find that FJP is actually not spun out of the Open Society Foundation, it's spun out of the Tide Center. And the Tide Center is 5 oligarchs plus Usaid, and some undisclosed additional funding was provided. We don't know that Soros is the major donor to FJP, or if they're actually financially funded more by the U.S. government or by the other oligarchs in the consortium. And we don't know that Soros is controlling FJP to tell them what to tell prosecutors. The whole fucking case collapses. This is, I almost don't want to read anymore unless they answer that. What the hell? Their budget was over $2 million. $1.5 million for open philanthropy. Where's the fucking hyperlink? What does that mean, additional funds? Did they give $100K? When and why did they give it? We're about to go to the next article. This is pissing me off. Let's go to this one. USAspending.gov. Usaid to the Tide Center. 25 million bucks? 25 million bucks? What the fuck? 25 million bucks to the fiscal sponsor of the group controlling 30% of the United States of America's prosecutors. So FJP got 1.5 million from the Facebook co-founder. It got additional funding from Mark Zuckerberg. It got $600K from the Ford Foundation. So we're looking at a budget in like the mid-millions. Mid-single-digit millions. But FJP's financial sponsor got $25 million from Usaid. Usaid Prosecutors. Usaid Prosecutors. Oh my God. So it's CIA. And look at all it says. Civil Society Innovation Initiative Fiscal Agent. So the CIA's Civil Society Capacity Building, where Usaid builds up assets by giving them money for the CIA to instrumentalize, to accomplish the State Department's foreign policy in a country. That group, which is capacity building institutions for the CIA to deploy and direct in countries all over the world, is taking that money and it is spawning groups like FJP who are giving direct orders to prosecutors on who to prosecute, including the President of the United States. Usaid prosecutors. That's incredible. 25 million. Puts the Open Society Foundation grant to shame. That grant terminated just 3 months ago in September 2024. Incredible. And all it says, usually the description is very extensive. You guys, we've read a bunch of these grants before on air. You guys remember? It'll usually be paragraphs long. Look how open they leave it. You're the agent of the U.S. government. The parent company for the prosecutor control group, who controls the whole network hub, is serving as the fiscal agent of the CIA's money conduit. Another grant from USA to the Tide Center for $1.5 million, matching the highest grant on record for FJP. That lasted until 2019. Okay, so we are up to $26.5 million from Usaid to the group controlling America's prosecutors, financial sponsor. A multilateral initiative that secures concrete commitments from governments to fight corruption, i.e., arrest the State Department's political enemies. So Usaid, the State Department CIA mutant baby, is paying the Tide Center to secure concrete commitments from governments. They're diplomats. They're diplomats. They may as well be State Department diplomats. The government is paying this cutout NGO to do back channel diplomacy with foreign governments. And this is the group sponsoring FJP, who's giving direct orders to the prosecutors in charge of New York City, Los Angeles, Chicago, Washington, D.C., Atlanta, Georgia. Holy fuck! The CIA is controlling America's prosecutors. That's the fucking story. Not some grandpa billionaire. Holy shit. Holy shit. Dude, I'm about to never say the phrase Soros prosecutor again. God, that's crazy. They're deputizing them to be diplomats. They're paying them to get concrete commitments from governments. That's what a diplomat does. That's what a State Department diplomat does. Wow. This is too good to be true. Not leftist, they're blobist. It just looks leftist because they want to combat the right-wing nationalist forces here. But if Bernie Sanders 2016 had won the presidency, Tides Foundation would probably be supporting right-wing nationalists just to get a regime change. They'd be giving civil society funds to right-wing shit posters. And then backing a Nikki Haley as the president that they rally behind. Do you get it? Look at this. Okay, so Soros gave... Well, there it fucking is. There it is. Okay, music. We got to cut the music for a second here. There it is. Soros gave $14 million to the Tide Center. And no fucking wonder, on page 8, when they were setting this up, they only said additional funds. Because all they gave is one grant in 2019 worth $10,000. Guys, are you seeing this? Every tendril in my body had a suspicion this is exactly what it was, and I expressed it to you live on stream reading this for the first time. And here it is, validated in toto. They said additional funds, and they didn't say even when because the actual truth of it is they only gave $10K. That's like the expenses to host a random weekend conference. And it was in 2019, 2 years after it had been founded. And this report's published in 2024. So their entire evidence that FJP is controlled by Soros is that he gave a big number, 14 million, to Soros's, to FJP's financial sponsor, the Tide Center. So let me ask you a question. It's a tough one. You gotta know math, okay? What's a bigger number? 14 million or 25 million plus another 1.5 million? That's the same time period, by the way, 2016. So Usaid has given at least 26.5 million, which is twice as much as Soros gave. Twice as much. Soros only gave FJP 10K. The Ford Foundation gave 600,000. They had a budget of 2 million. Zuckerberg probably paid more to FJP than Soros. Soros gave 10,000. Their budget was over 2 million. It's crazy. They only gave 10K of their over 2 million budget directly. And the parent company, which is where they get the evidence, the whole thing is Soros prosecutors, because they gave 14 million. Well, USAID gave twice that amount. So these are USAID prosecutors. These are USAID prosecutors. I was like a little bit glib when I said that initially because I wasn't sure whether USAID gave more than Soros. But not only did they give more, they gave twice as much. This is incredible. This is an incredible story. That's an incredible fucking story. Are you guys processing this? Every time you hear the word Soros prosecutor, no, they're USAID prosecutors. And USAID is a CIA front. And its whole purpose is to accomplish the State Department's goals, or sometimes the military's goals. This is a palace coup, folks. This is rogue organs of the federal government preventing the American people from electing a president. This push to prosecute Trump by Alvin Bragg, Soros was a minor co-funder. He gave them $10,000, that's it. And the 14 million he gave to the parent company, the fiscal sponsor of FJP, well, that ain't shit compared to 28 million, the 27 million that USAID gave him. But it all works together because, like I said, Soros is State Department. Soros is USAID. Soros is attached at the hip. Soros Inc. is a donor and drafter in the State Department network. A tag along, like many of these other oligarchs are. Wow, incredible. We just broke huge, huge news here. Well, our work here is done. This is so funny. Soros is mentioned 242 times in this report because they provided additional funds to FJP and they provided $10,000. But they provided $14 million to their fiscal sponsor. USAID provided $26.7 million during that exact same time period, twice as much. So Control F for Soros, replace all with USAID. Well, my work here is done. Thank you.